Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Private Will, and here I am for our final trip down history at the Battle of Gettysburg. This would be July 4th, 1863. Now, my own battle sort of was completed yesterday, and it was a victory for the Confederacy due to my very bad rolling of the dice for the Union. Now I'm starting to suspect, I know you're probably going to think I'm a little weird, but I'm starting to suspect that this blue die here is a bit cursed. I've used it a few times, and the rolls are really bad with it. I got a few more. I think I'm going to change it. I'm just going to retire this one. Seems like it seems a bit weird, but the rolls with this one are usually not very good when I'm using them. So now I just want to review what happened in the real battle on July 4th. Well, on July 4th, the battle was more or less over, but the two armies did not move. They spent the entire day kind of looking at each other from across the field, and basically they were just waiting for one or the other to make a move, start an attack. But by July 4th, neither armies was going to do anything. They were exhausted. Supplies were running low. Casualties had been close to 58,000 for both sides. You know, that's including death, missing, wounded. Neither army pretty much had any heart in going to a fourth day of battle. So for the entire 4th of July, the two armies sort of stayed there looking at each other. And also in Washington, well, they received the news of what happened on July 3rd at Gettysburg, and they were also receiving news that Vicksburg had fallen in Tennessee on the Mississippi, which was called the Gibraltar of the West. Grant had finally captured it, so it was kind of a double victory celebration for the Union. They were celebrating 4th of July and two victories on the battlefield. After July 4th, well, Lee packed in his army and they started the long march back to Virginia with a long train of wagon with lots of wounded. And you can imagine it was probably not very comfortable for them. The heat of July, broken bones and the wounds, and considering that the roads were not paved like they are today, medicine was not the same as today, no painkillers of any type. So it was pure hell for the wounded. At least for the Union, they could stay in place a little bit, and they did stay in place for a while, and then started a pursuit of the Army of Northern Virginia. But again, the Meades and the Army hearts wasn't really into it. Now, eventually, the Army of Northern Virginia crossed back into Virginia, and Meade kind of got a bit of a flack on that one, as people figured, well, there's a good chance of maybe destroying it, finishing it off once and for all. I mean, looking back at it now, it's really easy to say. And it was easy also to say for the politicians in Washington, D.C., who basically hadn't been fighting for 3 days, and receiving all of these wounds, and facing off the veteran of the North Virginia Army. So, could have Meade done something? Well, maybe not. I mean, it's over now. It's like we can debate about it for the end of time. But there's no doubt that Gettysburg was the turning point of the war in the East, essentially. From this moment on, more than ever, the Confederacy was going to be on the defensive. They would not really try another large-scale attack invasion of this sort again. The victory of Grant in the West was going to get him promoted very quickly, very shortly, and he was going to come back east as commander-in-chief of all the Union Army, and was going to put in place a plan that would make sure that all the armies of the Union were working onto a single purpose and preventing as much as possible what was left of the Confederacy to move units around and help each other. The last victim of the Battle of Gettysburg, which is Pickett, which got badly mauled during the Pickett charge on July 3rd. Well, he would continue fighting, but he never forgave Lee for the blunder that happened. General Lee took the blame. He said it was all his fault. And like I said, I think he kind of believes that probably by this point, most of his men could do the impossible. They'd been doing it for so long that he was just convinced that they could just do this, which was a suicide run, basically. And even though Longstreet had warned him that this wasn't going to work, that there was no way that these men could take that position and defeat the center of the Union Army. The war would continue. This would not be the end of it. It would continue until May of 1865. But a lot of things would happen in between that, with Grant coming in over into the East, not taking command of the Army of the Potomac, but taking overall command of everything. And Grant was a very different type of commander than the other Union commanders that Lee had faced up to that point. Grant was the type of guy who did not shrink away from casualties. He knew he had the numbers, and he just used them. And he just kept on pushing and beating up the Army of Northern Virginia until there was nothing left for them to give. They were defeated, and in May of 1865, Lee surrendered, and at that point, the war was done. It was over. So Gettysburg was a fairly important battle. If the battle, like I said yesterday, if the battle had gone the other way, we would definitely have a different type of United States, and we definitely would have probably a Confederate state in the South, and the United States would not have become what they became in the 20th century. And I mean, when you think about it, the First World War, the Second World War, a lot of things would have been very different if, for just a moment there, in that little area over here, the Confederacy had managed to accomplish what Lee wanted them to do. It's kind of interesting to think about. I usually think about that a lot, and when I watch a reenactment of this battle or the movie Gettysburg, and you see there's a point where you see the soldiers on both sides hand-to-hand fighting, the music stops, and you just hear the guns and the cries and the shouts. And I always think about, well, sort of the fate of an entire century was being decided right here while brothers were killing each other on a small little hill in a little village in Pennsylvania. It's very interesting. This is why I like history, because these moments are sometimes overlooked, but they're very important. They're what makes history and what drives it forward. And the way we are living today, in part was shaped by this event here at Gettysburg. So I hope you enjoyed this. I don't want to go too much into history dissertation here. Like I said, I'm not a historian. I'm just a fan of history, and I know a few things, but I'm definitely not in depth to give you all the social, economical, and all that other stuff, reason for wars and why these things happen. I don't, but sometimes I do know a few things, and I don't mind mentioning them here and there. So this is why I play these games. Sort of kind of remember history, remember these men. Most of them are buried here on Cemetery Hill. There's a national park here, which it was dedicated in November of 1863 by Abraham Lincoln. He made a very famous speech at that ceremony. And unfortunately, since this was a different time, there was no what the soldiers called dog tags. Well, a lot of crosses and tombstone at Gettysburg have just, Union soldier, unknown, maybe a regiment or something, if it was kind of in a certain area, and they're just buried there. Most of them forgotten, no name, no nothing. They're just remembered by probably now some ancestors who know that some of these uncles or great grandfathers or something fought at that battle within these two armies. Now they're all gone. I think the last veteran of that war died in 1959 or 58. I can't remember now, somewhere around that time. So there's nothing left now to remind us of this war except pictures and history books and paintings, and that's it. Those who lived it, they're gone. So this was Gettysburg. I actually went through it. I did it all. I'm pretty happy that I managed to get the entire game played. So I'm going to take a break now for a little while. I'm going to have to think what I'm going to do for the next game, what I'm going to do for the next video. I haven't really think about it because I've been so focused on this one. I really wanted to do this, and I'm glad I managed to get it all done. Before I finish, I just want to say thank you for everyone who subscribed. Hey, I got 12 subscribers. I'm very surprised. I didn't expect that. It's only been a couple of months, and yeah, some people will say, well, it's only a dozen subscribers. It's not that amazing. Well, it is for me. I'm very happy that people are subscribing and they're enjoying the videos. Not a lot of comments, but please, if you watch the videos, please comment. I really like to talk about these games and history and all sorts of things. So make your comments if you feel like it. I will definitely reply to you and have a conversation with you. So thanks again for subscribing. Thanks for watching. So until next time, stay safe, everyone.